In the East Toronto riding of Scarborough Centre, the signs are everywhere that this will be one tough three-way fight. Do you know how you're going to vote yet? Or?
Yeah, NDP.
How come?
Normally I voted for Liberal, but so far Liberal and Conservative, I honestly feel like they both failed the government, failed Canada in a way. So I want to try something new, NDP. Let's see how they do.
So probably Liberal mostly. My parents usually go for Liberals too, so that's why.
I'm not voting Conservative, that's for sure.
Okay.
I don't think they've done anything for us at all.
As the community's population grows and changes, it's also clear there are tensions.
This area, of course, is very, I'm going to call multicultural. I've been here for 35 years in this riding.
Like a community that, like a leader that can serve like Muslims, and there's so many like negative connotation that's going on all around.
Scarborough Centre is diverse. It includes a large Sri Lankan, Tamil, Greek and Filipino population. As a former Toronto suburb, rapid transit investments here have brought rapid growth. And despite the shiny new condo towers, the majority of homes here are modest, as is the average household income, sitting at just under $72,000. The majority of businesses here are small, but the dreams of these immigrant owners are big.
I need somebody who will love everybody, not make this different and this is different.
Over half of the riding's residents, 52%, are immigrants. People like Nasib, a Palestinian who's been running this restaurant for the past 16 years. He says business has been good, but he says the political choices could be better.
They don't listen to us, only they listen to the guy with the cash.
So this election, there's a feeling that change is in the air. Now, Scarborough Centre has been a long-time Liberal riding. In fact, John Canis was the representative here for more than 18 years for the federal Liberals. All that changed, though, in 2011 with Conservative Roxanne James winning here. Now, she won by a slim margin and just with 35% of the vote. What that might mean this time around is really anyone's guess. Some don't understand how the Conservatives managed to win this ethnically diverse riding back in 2011, but suggest low voter turnout may have been a factor.
A lot of people here work every day, and they come in, they come out, they don't really know what's going on. A lot of people here too in like that area over there, like a lot of people are new immigrants, and what do they care about politics? This is much better than where they're coming from, you know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times people have to understand too, like my background's a Jamaican, like politics, the way that people understand them in other countries is very different than the way people probably understand or also partake in politics here, right? Like being able to partake in a political experience is also very much so about like class, so like people who are coming here and migrating here and probably not used to actually even feeling included in that process in their own countries probably feel like it might be a little bit too much in this space. Roxanne James, the Conservative candidate who won in 2011, says her victory is no mystery. She credits her own hard work for the win and remembers the anger over a local Liberal spending controversy.
I had run twice before. I was getting a little bit more name recognition. Mr. Canis, as you know, was in a bit of hot water with a housing allowance issue. Constituents learned about this, and I think that was part of the reason why he did not get as much support. But they also recognized that I was working hard, that I was in the community, and they had got to know me on a personal basis. So I did work hard for it. Very proud of the achievement in 2011. Constituents should know also that I've been a very frugal Conservative when it comes to spending tax dollars. I have tremendous respect for those who work and pay taxes and play by the rules. I actually have one of the lowest budgets. I've spent the least amount of money across the GTA. I'm very proud of that. And when it comes to the riding here in Scarborough Centre of both the NDP and Liberal held seats, if you take a look at our record on spending, you'll see that I've spent considerably less than the other two parties.
What do you see as the key issues here for people?
I think the economy is the number one issue. I think when I'm going to the doors, people, they see what's going on around the world. They know that there is a global economic downturn, but they also recognize the fact that we as a government here in Canada have done, I think, everything right. We are actually running a surplus of $5 billion. We have a Prime Minister who has been able to manage a $1.9 trillion economy. We have reduced taxes across the board, and I think Canadians, if they don't already know this, would be surprised to know that we actually have the lowest federal tax burden in more than 50 years because of our Conservative government.
Okay, but
so these are all good things.
But there's some debate over that, right? I mean, there's a parliamentary budgetary report that suggests, no, there's actually a deficit situation.
We actually have a $5 billion surplus. As you know, we've also created more than 1.2 million net new jobs since the depth of the recession. And what I'm hearing at the door is people are concerned. They like to make sure that they have more money for their own priorities. That's something I'm very proud of that our government has done. We have reduced taxes about 180 times. Every single Canadian across this country has more money in their pocket because of our policies as opposed to being in the pockets of government. And that's important. And people are acknowledging that at the door. So it is the economy, number one. Number two, I think people are concerned about the safety and security of their families. Being the parliamentary secretary appointed by the Prime Minister, I've worked very closely on our tough on crime legislation, as well as issues pertaining to terrorism. So these are issues that I talk to constituents at the door. Overwhelmingly, they are in support of our government's movement in these areas.
So life is going to be better with you representing the riding. How?
Well, I think that constituents know where I stand again on a lot of the issues. I've been very strong, being a former member of the Status of Women, as well as the Committees for Citizenship and Migration. I've been very strong on issues pertaining to women, in particular on a number of fronts in this area. I've also been connected to the public safety file, and crime is always a concern throughout the GTA. I think people know where I stand on those issues. They know where our policies have been with the Conservative Party, and they recognize that I've been doing a very good job on their behalf and being their voice in Ottawa. I'm also someone that believes in communication is a two-way street. So I've been very careful to make sure that I spend my dollars wisely as a representative, but what I make sure is that everybody knows what I'm doing in Ottawa. In the last election in 2011, I heard time and time again at the doors that the previous Liberal Member of Parliament, we never knew what he was doing. He only showed up at election time and you'd get a few flyers or a newsletter. So I decided to have a different approach. I wanted to make sure that my constituents knew what I was working on, the bills that I was working on, and what my personal views were on a lot of issues that were important here in this riding. So I've done that, but at the same time, I've also asked for their feedback. So I've communicated them with them through my newsletters, but also a lot of times I've asked for feedback on specific issues from the Bedford prostitution issue, child pornography, the value of citizenship, tough on crime legislation, and I've also widely consulted on budget throughout the years as well.
Okay.
And some of those issues, I've received actually more than 2,000 responses back, and I've read every single one of them.
All right. So when we're talking about communication, I have to ask you, because there are those who perhaps aren't a fan of everything that you stand for. You know, the opposition to same-sex marriage. Some don't like the official stand that you've taken on that, and there's a website that's been set up, you're aware, on YouTube, Stop Roxanne James. What do you make of that, and have you reached out to those people who are?
Well, again, my focus is on this campaign. Yeah. I've represented this riding for the last 4 years. People know where I stand on all issues. I've represented them very.
But who are those people that have said that?
I've absolutely. My focus again is on this campaign. I have not paid any attention. I looked at the internet every day, I wouldn't sleep at night, right? And I think most politicians would tell you that there are people that obviously support you, and there are people that do not. Again, my focus is going out, speaking to my constituents, which I do every day, 3 times a day, and I'm hearing very good responses at the door. Even those that may not be supporting or may not be voting for me in this election have acknowledged that I've represented them well. So they may not necessarily agree with my policies, but they know how hard I've worked.
So you make
and
no
that's
apologies for that, for taking tough stands on things like opposing bail for Omar Khadr or opposing same-sex marriage.
Well,
you stand by quite firmly on those things.
I think when you're a politician, you can't waffle. You can't be like the Liberals or the NDP that want to have it both ways. You have to come out and be very decisive. You have to say where you stand.
And while many like the stand that Roxanne James has taken,
and, she's been very, very positive, and helped out and so on.
For you personally, though, would you vote Conservative this election?
I believe so.
She also has her detractors.
I'm definitely not a fan of Roxanne James, but because I think what happened to Omar is really kind of sad, and obviously I identify as a lesbian, so it'd be really disappointing to see somebody that regressive win as well, especially in a community that's as diverse as this one.
James has made a name for herself in Ottawa. She served as parliamentary secretary to the federal public safety minister, Stephen Blaney, vigorously opposed the release of convicted terrorist Omar Khadr on bail.
We believe that the real victims of crime, not the perpetrators, are the ones that deserve compensation.
And has spoken out against same-sex marriage. Critics also say the Conservative government's Bill C-51, the new anti-terror legislation, is offensive to many Muslims in the riding. The Liberal view on the bill?
Like we proposed amendments in the committee introducing parliamentary oversight, mandatory legislative reviews, and adding a sunset clause. But that was voted in the committee, voted against by the NDP.
But Mr. Trudeau voted for Bill C-51.
But he said very clearly that the troubling parts, we will take it away. We will bring changes. We proposed in the committee also, and this is our promise, that as we come into power, we will introduce the parliamentary oversight, mandatory legislative reviews, and the sunset clause.
It's interesting because the NDP in this riding is, expressing concerns and saying that people in the riding are concerned about Bill C-51, and they claim they're the only ones who, vehemently opposed it.
I think that there are bigger issues than that. Economy is one of the major issues. Of the conversations which I had with the people of Scarborough Centre, it is people are concerned about having a roof over their head. They are concerned about how to get to work and come back in time so that they can spend some time with their kids rather than being on a gridlock. So they want to spend some time with their kids while they are doing homework. Some people have to look after their parents. And this 2 tiers of citizenship is also another factor. And jobs, of course. We need to generate jobs, grow the economy. We are in a worst economic recession.
Let me ask you about that, because there's word now that for the year 2014-2015, the Conservatives are actually expected to end up with a surplus, and a surplus the following year in 2015-2016 as well. So how does that fare given the Liberal plan to inject $125 billion?
Parliamentary budget officer has already said that we will be into $20 billion deficit.
Right, but now there's new numbers that suggest no, it's going to be a surplus. So what does that mean for the Liberal infrastructure?
Right now we are in a recession, and I think this investment of $125 billion over the 10 years is going to generate more jobs and create growth in the economy. We have seen the worst economic growth in last 80 years under Harper's watch.
Salma Zahid is the Liberal hoping to knock out the Conservative incumbent in Scarborough Centre. And if Roxanne James has built a reputation as a Conservative Party attack dog, Zahid is a bulldog in her own right. She's the daughter of a Pakistani army officer who knows you have to fight hard to win.
Hi, good evening. How are you? I'm Salma Zahid. I'm your Liberal candidate for the upcoming federal elections. How's everything going? Good. Things are well? Yeah. Is there any issue which is of concern to you? Liberals have a good economic plan?
Yeah, Bill C-51. Liberals voted for that.
Yes.
That bothers
me.
Liberal
Party is the only party which is taking a balanced approach.
Watching you canvass door to door, it's a lot of work. You've got your running shoes on. You've said this is like a ground war. This is serious business. What do you mean by it's like a ground war? This matters.
Getting the message to every door, finding out what are the issues on people's mind. So making sure that we tell everyone is aware what we are proposing and how the change which they are looking for in their lives, how Liberal plan will help make a difference in their lives.
But calling it a ground war is interesting because your own father was in the Pakistani.
It's a metaphor. Going out, talking to people. Basically, what I have been doing since January is having conversations with the people, trying to identify what is on their mind, how they are meeting day-to-day challenges in their life.
One gentleman at the door said, "I'm a Conservative." Can't change his mind? Won't try?
I said to him, he said, "Okay, I will read about it, but I am Conservative."
In this campaign ground war, the Liberals do have a key weapon on their side. They're using analytical software to keep track of the opinions and issues they encounter with voters at the door.
To connect with voters there and hopefully have some conversations.
Yeah, so we can get into Dorcourt, and from there then we will go to
and then we'll go down.
Go north on Oakley.
North on Oakley.
Transit is a huge issue, you say here as well. How so?
People getting to work but coming back. Right now, they are spending a lot of time in that gridlock. So through 20 billion in investment into transit, we will build a transit which people of Scarborough need, a better transit. We will be a partner with the provincial and the municipal governments.
Policies are one thing. What about leadership? Are people encouraged by Mr. Trudeau? You know, the negative attack ads that the Conservatives have released, some might say they've been damaging. What are you finding on the leadership question that people are saying about Mr. Trudeau?
I am astonished why people are saying that he is not ready. Harper was also of the same age, about the same age when he became the leader of the Conservative Party back in 2004. So people should be judged by their abilities, by their vision about Canada. And I think Justin's vision of believing in people and bringing a real change, making a difference in the life of the people, that's what we need. And he has a great team with him. I'm proud to be part of Team Trudeau.
We believe it's time for change in Ottawa, that you deserve better pensions, better jobs, more affordable childcare. I'm just wondering, are you voting for the NDP?
Yes, I'm voting for NDP.
Perfect. Okay. Can we just get your
Running for the NDP is Pastor Alex Wilson. Can the NDP win, or how tough is this race, would you say, this election?
Yeah, I think in terms of Scarborough Centre, it's a close race. So we've come in second last time, and the polls flip-flop all over whether we've been leading a bit ahead of the Liberals or just behind them. So we try not to focus too much on numbers and just keep going on the ground game in terms of talking to people.
This is winnable. You can
Absolutely, absolutely, and the team around me really feels like that. I have people in Scarborough, I have people who have come from downtown as well to help because they believe that this is a winnable seat. And if we're going to form government, which the NDP is very much pushing towards having Tom O'Kerr as the next Prime Minister, we want to make sure that that we're ready for that.
The Presbyterian minister, already well known in this community, is not only relying on his own congregation's support, but is looking to build a following among the many immigrant circles as well. He's established a local food bank here and done years of outreach work with the less fortunate.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Wish you good luck.
And thank you so much for the support. Okay.
Yeah,
Take care.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye.
A large Muslim population here, for sure, and you're a Presbyterian.
That's right. So I've learned my Salam Alaikum and Inshallah, and I will, out of respect for them, use that when talking with them. There was a gentleman just on Kennedy Road who we talked to who was obviously a Muslim, and so I think it's important to respect their religion, as well as if I see that there's someone who's a Christian, I'm going to connect with them in the same way. It doesn't always correlate that they're going to vote for me, depends on which Christian church they're from, and there's a vast spectrum in terms of different denominations.
The number one issue for most in the riding is what?
I would say work, that people need to have good paying jobs.
The economy still.
The economy is, and it's not going well. Everybody knows that. They've been talking about it for a long time. And we think that the NDP has some good ways of addressing that issue. We think reducing the small business tax from 11% to 9% will really help the economy, because it's 80% of the Canadian economy is driven by small and mid-sized businesses. So we think that's important, as well as having a good wage, $15 an hour federal minimum wage that will help people, as well as looking at the end of care as well for seniors, making sure that they have good solid pensions and that people can retire. We want to roll back the retirement from 67 back to 65, so that some people can retire and have a good pension, at the same time opening up the door for some young people to work.
Interesting, you said the economy's not going well. The Conservative candidate running against you here in the riding would beg to differ and say, you know what, Canada's in a surplus situation. Things are progressing, the jobs are there, and the economy's doing well.
Okay, well, we certainly know better than that. In terms of, you look at manufacturing industry, especially in Ontario, hundreds of thousands of positions being lost. They're not investing in that. The Conservatives have taken one approach, and that is to simply go and invest in the natural resource industry and kind of neglect many other sectors, manufacturing, tech industry. And so we think it's time for a broad approach to invest in all different kinds of industry, including manufacturing, including our recent announcement about aerospace industry as well.
So you believe you're the best candidate to represent this riding? Why?
I think I'm the best candidate because I have the ability to certainly engage people. I think one of the things that politicians need to do is to go that one-to-one route with people and to talk with them and try to listen. As much as we have different policies that we come up with, we also want to make sure that we're listening to what the people are asking for, and to have that inform our policies so that they represent what they're looking for.
So if this riding elects you as their representative to send to Ottawa, how would life in this riding be better?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it'll be a lot easier for families. They'll have good paying jobs. We think that's important. If you don't have anything else, if you don't have that firm foundation, then it's hard to build the other things. We also think it's important that we want to have good affordable childcare. So we'll create 1 million spaces at $15 per day, so about $300 a month. We think that's very important. It gives certainly parents the freedom. If they want to be able to stay at home, they can do that. But if they want to go to work, there is an option. We don't want that to prohibit. We think that feeds back into the economy.
In an election where the NDP has shifted more to the right, vowing to balance the books and bring in things like affordable daycare and more middle-class jobs, the Green Party is also talking about the economy.
The Green Party stands for more than climate issues. We have a really strong economic platform. We have a strong healthcare platform, so there are a lot of different reasons why you might consider voting Green. I'm not sure if you're aware, but corporate tax rate was reduced to 15% under the Harper government in the Conservative Party, and it hasn't really done anything to stimulate our economic growth within Canada, and it's taken away a lot of our tax base.
How are you different than other people that are running from you?
Yeah, great question. So I think the Green platform is really well laid out. So it's a 183-page document, and we've looked at every aspect of different affairs that we want to get at in Canada. I'm not sure that any other party has their platform as well laid out as the Green Party. We're really strong on our economic policies. So I think you'll find now that we're in a recession and the economy isn't doing so well, our dollar has dropped, that we should really focus on the economy. And I think the Green Plan has the strongest economic plan policy for Canada.
You like to knock on doors where the Conservative signs are on the lawn. Tell us about what you've encountered and what that has been like for you.
Sure. Well, there is still some strong Conservative support, which baffles me a little bit, but they feel like they have a strong fiscal policy and that the only way to benefit the economy is to vote Conservative. And I feel like that may be an old system of thought back with the Progressive Conservative Party, but I think it's clear today that the Conservative Party is no longer about the economy. They're not doing anything to help the constituents in this neighborhood. There's more of a disparity between the rich and the poor.
Do you really think that you can steal away a Conservative seat here in this riding?
I am going to try, absolutely. Elizabeth May stole a Conservative seat in her riding of Saanich Gulf Islands, and that's my target, is to take away all those Conservative votes and then be elected Member of Parliament of Scarborough Centre.
So if it's been done once, it can happen again?
Absolutely.
Green Party candidate Lindsay Thompson sees a dissatisfied electorate in Scarborough Centre as an opportunity.
There's a lot of poverty, and I think people could really use a boost, a break on their taxes, small business taxes to be reduced, corporate taxes to be increased. And I also think seniors are a big part of this riding. Healthcare is a main issue. We have Scarborough Hospital at the corner and needs more funding.
And why are you the best candidate to address those issues?
I'm the best candidate because the Green vision is a very strong vision. Everything is laid out on thegreenparty.ca. It's a 183-page document, and it's a worldwide movement, the Green movement. We take into consideration expertise from around the world and specifically from Canada, and how we can better this economy, better the lives of the individuals within this economy. And specifically, the Green Party is not a whipped party, so I can vote specifically how the constituents want me to vote in this riding. I'm running for the Green Party.
Okay.
And I just wanted to drop off some information and see if you had any questions or...
Not really. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not paying any attention to the election for another 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm only interested in the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Then I will make up my mind.
I will come back then. If the election were called today, though, who do you think you might vote for?
Oh, I'm not sure I want to tell you.
Okay, that's not a problem.
If voters were to choose you as their official representative, how would life here in this riding be better with you?
Yeah, well, I think it would be improved because we would focus on seniors, creating a better plan for seniors, allowing a better plan for the hospitals, more funding, as well as a prescription plan throughout Canada, so a national health care plan that includes prescriptions. I think that would really help out the seniors. We would also focus on education around end of life and the options that you have there, and improved alternate medical choices. I would also focus on the economy. We've taken away, or the Conservative Party has lowered corporate tax rates to 15%, which is incredibly low, and it hasn't really stimulated our economy. As we can see, we're in a recession, our dollar is quite low, and corporations are still leaving the country. We're not really attracting new businesses. So I think focusing on other ways to stimulate the economy, potentially a lower sales tax or lower tax rates for small businesses, and increasing that tax rate for corporations so that we have that tax base to continue the great programs that I've been so proud to have and be brought up in Canada. I want to be proud of this country again.
Also running in the riding is Libertarian candidate Katerina Androutsos. She's the daughter of Greek immigrants, inspired by the politics of American Rand Paul. The Libertarian Party, what does it offer Canadians? Why should someone vote Libertarian?
Well, the Libertarian Party of Canada is a party that believes in less government, lower taxes, and more freedoms. I recently read an article in the Fraser Institute where it stated that Canadians pay more in taxes than if you combine food, clothing, and shelter. And to me, I found that that's a big problem. That's a lot of taxes that we pay.
Adding a Libertarian to the mix may only serve to further split the vote, but it's clear many residents here are open to any idea that will make their day-to-day lives easier.
We need more social assistance. The poverty, I think it's increasing. There's not enough jobs for people.
I think we need a change. I don't think Harper is doing anything. I think he's more concerned with things outside than he is the country itself. And he's definitely not helping me as a senior. So that's... I'm just not sure between Liberal and NDP, to be honest with you, but it definitely won't be Conservative.
There's a new ad out, I don't know if you've seen it, that says Stephen Harper's not perfect. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm not perfect either, so no one is perfect. But you know what, Stephen Harper, as I said, he's the reason why I actually got involved in politics. I would never have left a very secure job to try and enter the political arena and be, you've mentioned some of these groups that may not be supporting me personally. It's a very difficult and it's a time away from your own family, but it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to give. But again, I wouldn't have done that if I did not think that Stephen Harper was the best leader this country has seen in a very, very long time.
Back at the restaurant, things for this small business owner are quite clear.
I want to see different. I don't want some people to keep going.
You want change?
I want to change, yeah.
For CPAC in Scarborough Centre, I'm Jacqueline Mulcharek.